jam.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you very much for joining us. This is another episode of LexaCrunch. We've got a full house tonight, which is really nice. It's been a while since we've had a full house, but yeah, we're gonna go left to right as per old ways instead of this new weird opposite way that we've been doing the past couple episodes. So, Cheshirino, Cheshalicious.
Hey, yo, I'm your NFT bro. What up? Get into my fancy Ferrari and let's go to my mancio and hang out and have craft beerios.
Oh no, we're losing Chesh's picture. It's like he's disappearing.
It's like he's
yes, here we go. All right, so I'll get started since there's no longer a Chesh here.
Chesh has been cancelled. Yeah, exactly. What did I say before, Chesh? Like anything, just let's not talk about NFTs. Right off the bat, man. Like
right off the bat.
He's been minted to the blockchain. He's no longer
exactly.
He's just a hash. Don't worry about him.
I'm sorry, somebody used mutant serum on me. I'm no longer a Chesh. I'm a Chesh IR.
Wow. All right,
Chesh.io. Let's go. Chesh.io. Upload your bank details.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Brandon, aka the producer, host here at MTGLexicon. I'm also joined by another host.
Hey, it's Jeff.
Okay, Jeff.
What's up?
Okay, Cheddar Goblin. It's.
We might as well go.
A bit out of sync. Yeah. So I was like, is he going to say anything else? No. Also, I can't see the thing on the call there, Brandon. So it's I'm matching conversation cues based on the Twitch, which is delayed. So forgive me for that.
Can't see the what on the what?
You're not sharing the thing on the Twitch, the Discord. Yeah.
Oh, it's because I had the I had to kill the stupid
raccoon.
Yeah.
To kill the trash panda.
Yeah. I knew someone was gonna get upset by it, so I just killed it.
Kill the panda.
Fine.
No one got upset by it.
I could see it in the air. I didn't even have to do anything.
Brandon, why do you just
sniff the air and
now I'm more upset that you're making up a problem that didn't exist. And you just like
I could see it on Sam's face. Look at Sam. He just looks like he's just asking for it.
Yeah, no,
I'm more upset about the call quality on Discord.
That's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Chesh does that all the time, making problems before they happen. It's beautiful. So yeah, like picking fights with things that don't happen yet. So
I love picking fights.
Stay the shit out of there. I'm Sam from CMDR Crunch, and I have a MTGLexicon coaster, and I'm very happy. But it's just lovely to hang out with you all again every 2 weeks now, which seems like an eternity. It really, really does.
Yeah.
So,
well, you weren't showing up when it was every week, so.
Hey, I know, right? I know. Well, then
I was.
This is the right amount of time, so I have reasons. Also reasons CMDR Crunch has had a little hiatus, but coming back next week, I believe, which is exciting. We've got a guest lined up and episode 50 and all that junk. So
spoil the guest.
No, let's tune in to not hear Chesh talk about NFTs. So yeah, and maybe remember about the game called Magic the Gathering, because I don't remember much about that game either. So yeah.
Is there any relevant news that anyone has to share?
Yes, Commander the Distancing comes back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Sam, are you actually in?
I said relevant news.
Damn.
Sam hasn't answered the Discord. I assume that you're playing with us tomorrow.
Did I just go? Yeah, I'm playing tomorrow. So we're playing we've got Cole, Uncommon Commander, and yeah, it's going to be good. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to pre-brief and say, please beat up on Chesh
and also, if you're in any of our Discords, can you do me a favor and change your goddamn fucking Discord name to match your actual creator name, so I remember who you are?
Oh no, you've got to get used to that. That's just That's just Discord. Exactly.
You
got to know people by
fucking jerks.
Some people call me Trash Panda. Some people call me something. Some
Maurice.
people call me Maurice. Yeah, exactly. it's the metaverse we live in now, Chesh. You got to be used to people having 4 AKAs. You know, some call me
Did you
some
say
call me
used to having
Photoshop.
4 AKs? That's a little dark, dude.
AKAs.
Yeah, we can't buy those here.
Yeah, exactly. You can't get the NFT for an AK-47 yet. So I mean,
Not yet.
whatever.
It's still
Not yet.
censored in Australia. Don't worry.
Everything's still censored in Australia. We'll put it that way. We almost didn't get fucking Disco Elysium. Like, put it that way. It's like can't do that.
What a
Whoa.
tragedy that would have been.
What will the townsfolk do? Oh no.
Oh my god.
They'll be up in arms because they learnt the ways of the world from Disco Elysium.
God,
And,
that's such a that's a tragedy.
oh yeah. I mean, it's fine. We got the end, which is great. But all you have to do is look at media like, I don't know, how many people after Breaking Bad, or after 7-8 seasons of that like really good show, the message they took away from that was like, I'm gonna make meth. It's like, that's not what it's about. But yeah, that's sadly what people do. So people are gonna be inspired to engage in drugs through any such means. So anyway, whatever. Speaking of being inspired by doing drugs, a segue. We got there. This week's movie.
Yeah.
Sam, give us the name and the description.
Yeah, so what did we watch? It's in the background, hell yeah. So we watched a little movie called Mandy. I watched it first time, I think, 6 months ago or something. And we were on a bit of a Nicolas Cage tear with Color Out of Space. I think, what was the other one? We watched Pig.
Pig, yes, yeah.
Pig was fantastic. Like, that was, yeah, great. Nicolas Cage is, of course, mired in the whole... is the laughable. Some people think he's a meme. Some people have a quite reserved respect for him as well because he can do amazing things. Weird roller coaster of a career, and he's done a bit of everything. He's gone through movies where he just mumbles through, and you're like, oh, that was a really good, was it? Like, and then just those hilarious, ridiculous moments. But it seems in the last few years they've just been on fire with doing a ton of wild stuff. So. Yeah, so Mandy was, let's get some stats on this thing. What was it, 2018? Produced by, something that got my attention, was Elijah Wood and someone else.
Elijah Wood and Steve, it doesn't matter.
Actually quite a few. Okay, so Elijah Wood is involved, same with Color Out of Space too. Daniel Noah, Josh Waller, Adrian Politowski, Nathaniel Bolodin, and Martin Metz. So there are quite a few producers. Anyway, director was Panos Cosmatos, who did a couple other movies. Rewind this. Beyond the Black Rainbow is the one I want to check out because it actually shares some kind of connective tissue in this one apparently. So, kind of this movie aligns with a lot of my personal bias and tastes for some of the more like what do you call it? I guess art house type stuff that's been in the last maybe 5+ years that might be aligned with like maybe like what Ryan Gosling's doing, you know, in his kind of indie movies. You know, they're very neon in a way, like they often share a bit of an art style which is very reminiscent of 80s, but trying not to do it too cheaply. And this one is one that kind of draws a lot of kind of connections to. There's a bit of influence from like David Lynch type stuff, and just a shit ton of like 80s and 70s. I guess.
What's the story?
I'm getting there. Music and kind of I'm just setting the tone with the visuals. Music and kind of artwork and that kind of thing. So what essentially happens, story's pretty simple. Which is kind of delightful, in my opinion. But we'll get to my opinion after this. Essentially, you've got Red, a guy who basically it's set up pretty slowly in the fact that it's him and his partner Mandy, and it's kind of really established that they're so madly in love and just completely content, happy with each other. You know, and there's a lot to set up really slowly to go, this is a special relationship, that kind of thing. You're starting to get some hints, and the tension does build a little bit. They encounter basically a cultish kind of what do you call it? Well, cult really, led by this guy who's essentially the embodiment of like male ego, I guess you put it. The failed musician, which is a very funny little dynamic there, and kind of runs this like little, calls them crazy Jesus cult, but it's a bit more complex than that. A lot of religious symbology, that kind of thing. Starts to get very psychedelic in a cool way. But basically, they abduct Mandy, and through a really interesting sequence, basically he just presents as he is like someone above Jesus, and says that no one understands his music, which is a very funny point. He's a bit of a failed musician, but he's kind of like sees himself as above, and essentially this is going into details, but they do kind of matter. What flips around is that she just kind of laughs at him, and
Yes.
which is a huge point, because it's like it goes into this idea of rejection and also humiliation, which is the impetus for so much violence in a lot of instances. So it's like when someone is kind of like that hits him in such a weak part that it's like humiliation, being like rejected, and kind of downplaying his the way he views himself as this messiah, that kind of thing, and he just flips out, and that kind of sets into action so much violence and so much basically what he does. And it's not really a spoiler because I think it's in the synopsis, but kind of really murders Mandy, and also a twist of kind of, what do you call it? It's like a hint at religious kind of undertones. There's he stabs. He also captures Red as well, and stabs Red in the spot where I think there's something. I think Jesus is stabbed there, or something like that, in the in biblical stories, that kind of thing. So he's got this thing that it's like they're kind of inspired by like religious kind of texts, things like that, but it's like sees himself above in a weird way. So what ends up kind of coming about, you're getting these hints also of these kind of cosmological undertones as well. So Mandy, before all this, was like, she was just inspired by the whole she's reading stories, illustrating stuff, and kind of they talk a lot about like, the cosmic kind of world and that kind of thing. She's very much into that. And then there's also this hint at like these four figures, the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, basically, like what do they call them? The black what are they called?
I think the Horsemen's a good
the
way
black
to explain it.
Black skulls. You see them. There's four of them. They're all a little bit unique, and they're like terrifying, and seem to be these wild, just other like not human kind of things. And you get these hints like, is this all real world or is this not? And then maybe it doesn't matter. And I think that's up to a lot of interpretation. So basically, what then goes on is very simple. So it's a massive revenge. Red breaks free. Massive revenge, kind of just bender of the most kind of visceral and powerful embodiment of revenge and violence and kind of just rage that I think I've ever seen in a movie, where it's just like he's so fucking charged about, like motivated by how powerful he felt about, just angry at this person and these figures. He essentially just goes on this bender, and what starts to blend in an amazing way is all these kind of undertones of Mandy's influences and like the way she sees the world. And this is where I love how kind of intentionally vague it is. You don't know how many things are real and which aren't, in a great way. And I know that kind of will shit people, but there's even things like, is the tiger real? There's all this symbology throughout, and it's like, maybe he just saw that, whatever. Halfway through, he forges a fucking battle axe, and it's like, this has become the most cool sci-fi fantasy, like just visual explosion of shit, and you're just like, wow. So he's going to go on this tirade to basically just rip apart this cult, including the black skulls. I think the director said something like the battle axe does represent like all of his rage and his kind of
his rebirth.
His rebirth. There's a crystallization of it. It's got to feel something like something alien. It does not feel like something you'd see in the normal world. Like it's something straight out of an 80s sci-fi fantasy book. And it's like the blending of worlds in a weird way. And I won't spoil too much about the end, but basically just kind of, there's some fucking epic battles. He has a chainsaw battle with one of them. He starts to take on a lot of their armor, and they're like actually dripping with blood and that kind of thing. He starts to become like the Black Skulls themselves a little bit too.
A little bit.
Yeah, which is kind of like a little bit of a, and maybe the axe is like the symbol of being the Reaper a little bit too. And it's like how intensely like visceral that pain is. And that's becoming happens. I didn't even say it, but like a lot of the undertone as well, an explanation for things is LSD and like-minded related substances, like that a baseline explanation of the black skulls is that like they were made for like drugs just went a bit fucking wacky, didn't they? Like,
Yeah,
they became
well,
like otherworldly strength and all that stuff, and
there were drug couriers that upset the LSD guy, and then the LSD guy gave him a bad batch, and then they turned
I watched the
into
thing. You meet
whatever.
the LSD guy, or who's meant to be the guy who makes it all, the chemist or whatever, and he's just apparently I don't know much about drugs, but he's sitting there, he's dipping it like with bare hands in the water, and then like licking his fingers, and to like insinuate that this guy is he's not even human at that stage when you think about it. Like if he's able, like to make that shit, and then just like it's just like he's been twisted by it, whatever. But again, looking for rational explanations of things only goes so far in this movie because it is so bombastic. It is so over the top in a way that I kind of love because it knows that's exactly what it's doing. But there's all these lovely little details that inspire so much, like explanation. Like, as I say, the end, Red does actually exemplify a bit of, because he actually takes some of the drugs too, exemplifies a bit of that like inhuman strength to go like, well, they're becoming these weird fantasy creatures in a way that's, again, not directly explained, and then has some pretty crazy visions as well, with like the idea that maybe what factors of this world aren't real, and you know what is there. So anyway, I won't spoil that too much, but it's plot's pretty simple. Like, I know that was long-winded. I just want to drop bits there, but basically, guy kind of goes on this massive revenge bender, which feels very. It's like psychedelic grindhouse, I guess, way to put it. But the amount of like fantasy tropes and kind of sci-fi things there, and absolutely started by one of the greatest fucking songs of all time. So I knew it was an absolute banger when they start this movie with "Starless" by King Crimson, which is that must be experienced. That song, I almost cried when I was like, yeah, that's the way you're going to start a movie. It's a I think it's actually got a bit of meaning too in the plot too. So, so that's essentially it. I can continue to explain what I think about it, but I just want to hear some top of the line thoughts from y'all.
Who wants to go first?
You can if you want.
I'm opening the door for you guys. Sam.
Well, Sam just went.
No. When I said Sam, I said Sam just gave a really good synopsis of the whole movie, and gave his opinion. But we're gonna wait for his score. I want to hear what Chesh has to think. Has to think. Well, I want to hear what Chesh thinks. He does have to think to live, but
do I though?
I think therefore I am.
Yeah. I need to start by prefacing a couple of different pointers. The first one is Nicolas Cage has 3 cages. Okay, you have thoughtful, quiet cage, which is your typical kind of like pig cage, right? Where he's settled. The emotion is there, but it's not like bursting through. Then you have Peaches. I could eat a peach for hours. Cage.
Peaches cage. I love that.
So that is Peaches cage, because a little bit crazy, but not too crazy. And then you have
got a little bit though, right? Even reserved cage, you'll have one scene
where
you're just like
reserved cage, getting crazy cage, and then you have the bees mode cage, which is cage just being crazy.
Punchy cage.
This is not crazy cage.
Hold on. What about Willy's Funhouse? Was it called Willy's Funhouse?
Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. What about Willy's Wonder? Okay, so this is an interesting Cage movie. It's not a good movie per se, but I think Cage does an amazing performance by saying nothing the entire movie.
It's high functioning Cage.
Yeah, that's tied in with Cage level 1.
Okay, all right. So I don't want to hijack your description,
All right.
but just
Sorry.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah.
I have to say no, and I'm not even saying that this is. I'm not even. This is very much not insulting what I'm about to say. I think it's very good representation for the autistic community, and I'm not saying that as like an insult at all. He's a badass that very obviously has autism, and he's very fixated on his schedule. He's very fixated on going back to the pinball machine. He doesn't talk to people, and he has a very difficult time communicating. But he's a badass kung fu dude that like kills robots. I think that's a great representation. And I'm not trying to be funny here. I hope I'm really not trying to be funny.
That's hilarious.
Okay, go ahead, Chesh.
Okay, so this starts out on speed 1 Cage and goes up to speed 2 Cage, but doesn't really go up to speed 3 Cage, which I'm okay with. I do prefer 3 Cage sometimes, but I don't want 3 Cage in my breakfast every morning, so I'm okay with that. The second point that I need to make here before I go into anything is, if you've ever done LSD and you watch this fucking movie, just trust me, it's not you, it's the movie. It's the movie. The movie does slip into LSD tripping quite often throughout the last 2/3 of the movie. So you have to be aware of that. Now, the third point I want to make is why I don't like this movie. I appreciate art. Okay, I think we all know that I am a visual artist. I appreciate art. I'm a fan of Van Gogh. Okay, I really am.
I like how that's your defense every time someone questions your art.
I am an artist.
No,
I like Van Gogh.
Particularly in regards to this movie, and you're about to find out why. But I do not like Jackson Pollock.
I don't think that's a fair criticism.
Because to me, Jackson Pollock isn't really art. It's very forced, and the art in this movie feels like it's not my jam, right? And that's why I don't like this movie, because it is definitely not my jam. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad movie per se, but it's definitely not my type of movie, and that's why these fellas probably love this movie and I don't, which is fine. And I want to put it out there, it's the same as in the art world, because this is an art piece. This is absolutely... And that's why Elijah Wood is actually involved in this. I guarantee it, because a lot of people might not know, but Elijah Wood is actually an artist. Elijah Wood is very heavy in the US art world, which a lot of people are probably like, the Hobbit guy is into art? Like,
he's in a lot of things. He's into Animal Crossing too. Like, he's a lovely fucking person. Like,
yeah. But this is definitely I would say, if anything, brings me back to installation pieces of the late 90s that were happening. Anyone who was in the art world in the late 90s would probably know what I'm talking about, because everything had that kind of thrill kill horror feel to it, where everything had, like, you know, neon lights attached to it, basically, to make it even more sinister, and a lot of performance art was very dark and being done in bathtubs, and, you know, people just like bloodletting and stuff into those bathtubs. It was a very weird, sinister time. And this, even though it's supposed to be 1983, really harkens back to those late 90s art pieces. And I saw enough of this stuff, and it absolutely isn't my jam. But again, just because it's not my jam doesn't mean it's bad.
You said it was art, and I respect that a lot, because it's like, it's subjective. It's so subjective at this stage.
So subjective, especially with this movie. And again, it really does feel like a living, breathing art piece, you know? But it's not my jam. So it's one of those things. And the reason I wanted to explain it this way is so that people understood that usually if a movie is shit, I will shit on it. I will take a huge dump on it and go, no, this is just fucking trash, and I hate it. With this particular movie, I didn't like it, but it doesn't mean that I hated it. I can absolutely appreciate it for what it is.
You said this about a few movies. I remember that you're like, it's not a bad movie. I just didn't like it. Yeah, I get that opinion. Yeah, and
I just feel
respect
like
it.
I have to like retread that because people might not realize that when I'm saying I don't like a movie and they kind of don't really understand where I'm coming from, and it's just like this particular style is not something I'm into. Horror/thrillers I'm generally not into for the most part. Some of them have been really entertaining and really cool. This, however, felt like me being on acid. Like, the whole thing really felt like I was dropping acid the whole time. Like, I got into the first 15 minutes, I'm like, this movie is so slow. And I actually messaged Brandon about it, just going like, I don't know, man. This movie,
slow, super quiet.
Super slow.
Oh, yeah.
Building, yeah. But I love that. There's like, and it actually is... I feel like this would be a great book.
This would make a fantastic book.
And in a way that it's like, you almost want it to be a bit cheap and 80s and like wacky cover. It's like what she's reading, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like this could be one of those books, and they're not really done these days, but they were many, many, many years ago. Talking tens of years now. Oh my god, I'm so old. There was a time where you would get some books that would come out, and just randomly, like, because everyone knows books don't generally have pictures in them, right? But every now and again, you'd get those, like, horror thriller stories, and they get to a certain place in the book, and instead of
the black and white illustration,
instead of just describing the scene, they would describe the scene and then have a black and white image, like painting or drawing, like kind of showing and bursting out that kind of
like... You know that's special if they have to show it after like a few chapters, like, oh shit, that's a moment. Like, that is a moment, yeah.
And having a couple of those throughout the book, that feels like this, you know?
And they're amazing because books are that wildness that I see a lot of color when I'm reading things too, and that maybe I'm super biased with this stuff, that it's I love this for the art, you know, exactly that it just ticks all those kind of boxes. But when you're reading a book, you're often guided by the cover, and that's pretty much it to set the tone of like what you're imagining. And then when a book has those, Chesh, it's like they're your guardrails basically. They're like, oh, okay, that's how Sauron's looking or something, and you know they start to inform. It gets really vivid. It's like it starts to get really like, oh, well then I wonder what this guy looks like, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I could just imagine all these descriptions so vividly in a book. It would be sick, and it'd be like even more like totally be vague. You're like, whoa. So it gets really cosmic in the end, and that's fine. Like, that is sweet, because the way I look at it anyway, I see a massive template. Like, it was like a canvas, really. Is the story we're telling you, much like a prog rock track from the 70s. You can make the story, really. That there's enough, like, fill the gaps with the way maybe you don't think the tiger's real. Maybe you don't think the chemist is real. And that's really cool, too. Maybe Mandy was alive the whole time. Maybe. Like, I love that those things are intentionally not defined. Who knows? Maybe he died. Like...
Yeah, that's certainly
maybe he died and transcended, and it's like, yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah.
And one last particular point about one very particular scene in this movie is Red's forestry truck, or whatever you want to call it, his 4x4. I want to call out the fact that this is one of the only movies, and I'm going to call this out because if you look at movies like X-Men Origins Wolverine and a bunch of other ones where you've got lumberjacks or people who are working in the forestry sector, they never get it right. And this movie actually went that extra mile to get it right. And it's a really weird thing for somebody like me to pick up on. But it's a really weird thing for them to pick up on and do. And that is that Red's truck has the dual... highlight bands across the side of the vehicle on both sides. Now, why this is particularly a thing that's mind-blowing is because you don't usually see it in movies, because people don't fucking think. And in this, they actually took their time to go through and go, all right, in this scene, what do we need to see? In this scene, what do we need to see? And then when they got to talking about like the forest scene with driving into that 4x4, they went, all right, it has to have the reflective highlights, like stickers on the sides, the detailing. And I thought that was amazing because, again, I can't think of a single movie that's ever done that right. And it's fascinating to me to see that they actually did that in this movie, which is such a small, stupid detail that didn't need to be there because no one pays any attention, but it's there.
I think there's so much craft and detail in it, like you say, and that's a great thing to point out, that there's so many things. I've watched a few videos now, like people are like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Oh, look, all these details. Things like the actor, this is such a weird, they're like, you can't assume anything is coincidence because some of them are so just perfectly true. Or like too perfect to be like chance. The guy who plays, I can't remember the guy's name, the cult leader, is actually technically like a cult leader in real life.
Really?
Which is wild. Like you look it up, they're like,
Jared Leto?
oh wow. The other one, I love that point. They when he says, he goes, don't fucking look at me, when he gets really embarrassed and he goes in that fit of rage. That's legit, like word for word, the scene from I think it's Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet, which shows so much like. There's a lot of Lynch in this film too, which is great. But yeah, lots of little things. As I was saying before, the commercial that kind of plays throughout, the Cheddar Goblin, the namesake of this episode. I remember seeing in the credits, like all the people that worked on that, just that unsettling
moment,
commercial that keeps playing, especially like the whole unsettling of like dark scene, house, like late in the night, and all that's on is just a TV, and it keeps playing this commercial like thing. But it's so funny because it's like claymation from back in the day. They put so much like craft in it to make it look like an old commercial, but it's just this fucking goblin just vomiting cheddar on these kids, and it's like it's so concerning. You're like, oh, like it's pretty amazing.
It is concerning.
Before we move on too much, Chesh, what was your rating?
Look, again, I didn't really like it, but putting my actual reviewer hat on and taking my dickhead shoes off, I'd probably give this a solid 6 out of 10 wasps.
Nice. I forgot about the wasp. It's like
fucking wasp.
So many unsettling trigger things in this movie. Like you just like
so triggering, but for different reasons. Like this is the one thing that I looked at and I was like, why is that wasp so big? And I was like, oh, okay, no, now I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasp was.
Oh, you put it on the screen. Fuck yeah. Endo, you haven't spoken about it much.
I mean, you guys have nailed a lot of points that I think I would have covered. There are some that I think I would add to, which is...
Please do, because it is a subjective one, exactly.
I fucking loved this movie. I think it showed a lot more character, and I think it showed a side of Cage where sometimes he just does too much. Like a scene requires him to be like subtle, and he goes full 3 to 4 scoops of Cage when they only wanted 1. And in this movie, he kept a constant level of 2 scoops of Cage, even though the scenes were building up and there were supposed to be these climactic reveals or drops, and 2 scoop Cage stayed 2 scoop Cage throughout the entirety of those climactic scenes, and only in like I want to say 2 or 3 scenes did he go up to 4 scoop Cage, like but only for a second. It was like only for that like 1 minute out of the 4 hours and 75 minutes that this movie was running, and I appreciated that because he was able to project his feelings of what he felt without adding extra scoops. And that's something that you don't see Cage do a lot, right? I'm just as a projection of his character. He always just adds scoops instead of talent. I hate to put it that way. But yeah, it was really
there's a bit of scoop restraint in this one.
Exactly. And when it comes to Cage's pre-workout mix, it's something that just he's had his formula for years, and he broke his formula in this movie to me, which was great. I love seeing that. I love seeing actors evolve or do other things, and that's what happened. He did something different. So
I got to shout out to Arizona Angels for 10-month subscriptions. Thank you very much.
hey, thank
Shut
you.
up!
Squawk 2 saying, where's Johnny? Where is Johnny? What are you up to, Johnny?
One of my favorite scenes is when she was laughing at the guy.
Yeah.
And I was just
He fucking dismantles him. Like,
I was just like, leave it to one person to just crash the party, and I was like, yeah, the fucking dude gets what he deserves. Like, and I have a friend who's like into cult bullshit, and I think of him every time, and it just makes me laugh when I see this movie. And I think the setup for a lot of I want to call it his trials throughout the movie. Every time he comes up to this new segment, it's representative of a trial. And like I said, when he makes the axe, it's like he's reforging himself into this axe, and it's like his rebirth. And every time he goes through these trials, you don't see a release of relief. You see a build of tension every time, which is kind of nice because it's a little bit reverse of like that whole method of portraying a story. Like every time you make a feat, you're like more relieved because you got one left to go. And in this, there was no relief because he didn't know whether Mandy was still alive or dead. And he's
at a point of no return too.
Right.
Like he's just gone further down the rabbit hole. And I love that the Starless thing, like Starless and Bible Black. Like they point out that's the only piece of music with lyrics in it, and it's like that whole abyss kind of.
What's up? And this wasn't like he didn't do this for glory. He didn't do this for fame. He did it for love, obviously. But at the same time, it was self-destructive in its own right. And this was not supposed to be a feel-good movie. And I love not feel-good movies. Yeah. I love horrible, like dark endings, and I love movies that just do not have the feel-good ending. So I loved every bit of that. So this movie to me was a solid 8 out of 10 heirs of the con. And I think I am going to keep to that because 2-scoop Cage was way better than seeing the Vitamix like layered scoop Cage. And it was just different. It was different. Didn't have to be great. Didn't have to be bad. It was different, and it's a side of Cage I don't think I've seen in many of his movies.
Yeah. All right. Let me go grab a little spot of rum before I go.
Yeah, it's about to get deep. All right.
Exactly. I was going to say the scoop of Cage, the bit that does raise the scoopage a little bit. I just remember that moment. When he's dealing with it all and he's just escaped and he's like in the bathroom with a bottle of vodka.
Oh yeah.
He fucking chugs that thing too. Like he's just like going through. But like you see the unpacking of he's coming to grips with things and trying to process what's happened. And like
you certainly did see the unpacking of his pack. Just saying.
Oh, I was gonna say the cult leader. There's some package time there. Like
there is some Nicolas Cage package time.
Oh, no, the cult leader. Like But
I mean, when Nicolas Cage hits that bathroom for the bottle of vodka, and it's just like tidy whities, and it's like I don't necessarily know that I needed to see that much Nicolas Cage. Plus, Nicolas Cage, just let you know, your balls will feel better in boxes because they'll be able to breathe better. Just telling you, like, so that they're not like. He's got
another kid on the way. I don't think his balls even care anymore at this point.
Yeah, and it's authentic '80s, right? So exactly.
It is. It really is.
Well,
not
Jeff
everyone was wearing
pours
boxes
his
back
drink
then.
and whatnot. What was your rating?
I'm back. I mean, I've been back.
Jeff, roll it up, Jeff. Go for it.
Oh. What was whose rating?
No, you're gonna do yours first.
Oh, okay.
A stiff drink. And,
Okay.
That wasn't a sip, buddy.
Mhm.
That was a sip. That was a sip.
The subtle cage, as Prophet says. Yes.
Oh man, this is good.
1 to 2 scoop for cage is a subtle cage.
We're talking 1 scoop cage, 2 scoop cage, B scoop cage.
Exactly. I'm grateful. Grateful you have a visual chart to help me out with this too, like the Nicolas Cage pre-workout scale. So what is like pre-workout? That's just Con Air cage in the air. 4 shit gets real, and then it like exactly up to 5 scoops.
Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine what 5 scoop cage is exactly. Jeff, sorry man.
Mm-hmm. Okay, are we ready? Let's see. Where do I want to start with this movie? I want to start by saying that this is one of my favorite movies, but that first third of the film is like very, very slow. I tried watching this with a group of people, and everyone started to fall asleep. It's not really a movie you throw on at a party unless you're with the right people, kind of deal. Because it does get really exciting about 3/4 of the way through. Like it really, really goes there. Once Nick Cage, his character Red, he has a conversation with his hunter friend. I can't remember. Culver was his name. What was his name? After that conversation, where he talks about the bikers, the drug dealers that went rogue, and he's like, I think I found him in the forest, and he hands him the crossbow with the special bolts and all that. After that conversation, the movie just goes and it just doesn't stop, and it just keeps on going, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. As far as the psychedelic scenes, yes, if you have done acid, there are some scenes in the movie that remind me very much of a psychedelic experience like acid, particularly the scene after Mandy gets dosed with that whatever the hell that is from the insect, and we're in the room.
Stuff in an eye too, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the room listening to the music that this cult leader has made.
He's awful music.
His awful like I don't know what to call it, like it's very like Flower Child-y kind of stuff. Yeah. It's you've heard this.
He talks about the Carpenters, like as a band,
as an influence. Yeah. I'm like the Carpenter. Yeah, his ego.
Jesus is a carpenter.
So massive. Yeah, and he's just sitting there like trying to impress Mandy, which is kind of it's very pathetic. He comes off as very pathetic and sad, but also he has this position of power. I love it. The juxtaposition, right? And there's a scene where Mandy is looking at him directly because she is just tripping balls, and probably so is he. And their faces overlap, and one goes in front of the other, and the other goes in front of the other. I'm like
super hypnotic.
Flashbacks, because when you look at something on a psychedelic, allegedly, for long enough, it's you sort of merge with it. It's odd. I can't. Maybe merge isn't the right word. Things start to overlap. Your thoughts of something and the thing itself, I guess. Your ego kind of gets projected onto whatever you choose to observe for long enough. And the visuals are also very interesting. Apart from that, the other juxtapositions that I appreciated was the Cheddar Goblin, my favorite scene in the movie. In fact, probably the best scene, the one that breaks it down the most. Like Chesh was saying, you do get those little hints, and the details really matter. Like at the beginning of the movie, and I didn't notice this on my first viewing, but his coworker offers him a beer, and he declines the beer. and it was just something that happens very like passively. It just they didn't really pay too much attention to it. He was just he gives him a beer. He's like, "Yeah, you want some?" And he's like, "I don't know." And you kind of get little hints here and there that Red is a recovering alcoholic, and he has a breakdown moment after Mandy dies. Spoilers. I mean, I'm sure we've already talked about that. After Mandy gets killed in such a very bizarre and horrific way, he goes into the bathroom and busts out a bottle of vodka, and the way he drinks it is a sight to behold. He doesn't drink it so much as he forces it into his stomach with gravity.
and with like heft, like very quickly.
Yeah, it's very powerful. It's very you could feel the desperation in that like just that scene alone is so intense. Of because he's at a breaking point. He's like totally broken. He doesn't know what to do. He knows alcohol used to do something for him, and maybe he could kind of, I don't know, do whatever, just get it inside of him and see what happens. And that's what he did. And after this, a breakdown scene, which lasts for a very long time, I think the perfect amount of time to just show how horrible it was for him to witness what he witnessed. He gets out. He's in his underwear, in his 90s or Tiger shirt, and there's this like literally cheesy commercial playing on the TV in the background of the Cheddar Goblin, and Cheddar Goblin is like this very too real grotesque mascot. It's like in SpongeBob how sometimes they have a close up on a character and they're just like super grimy. Yeah, it's like that. And the kids are, eating mac and cheese, and Cheddar Goblin comes out and vomits mac and cheese all over them. But he's just like mesmerized by this, as the audience are, and he just sort of says, Cheddar Goblin. Like his brain is just a blank. It's like the tabula rasa, but the slate is broken. he's just so busted up, and I really love that. I also love the death of the cult leader is very cathartic. He pushes his eyes in with his thumbs and cuts his head off and kicks it. It's a whole thing. It's very much deserved. But at this point in the movie, you've seen some pretty violent things, but this takes it to another level, deservedly. Because it keeps getting bumped up in like intensity of violence. I think it's warranted, though. It's earned. If you're at the scene where he pushes his eyes in with his thumbs, you earned this. As much as Red's character has earned that. You went through the whole thing with him. It feels like, and that's why the beginning of the movie was as slow as it was, because they had to make you understand his connection to Mandy, and why he would do something like why he would go to these lengths and be this upset and this broken over what had happened. Everything needed to be there. I think if they were to take something out, it wouldn't be as potent of a movie as it is.
They had to build the investment, and I think it was well worth it.
Well, yeah, and I can't remember who said it, but like everything they show you for a reason in this movie. There's nothing in there that they just kind of threw in for no reason. It all ties together in some way, shape, or form. And I'm just going to talk about one scene. I know I'm a little long-winded here, but
no, that was super long. Go for it.
I'm going to talk about one scene which okay, maybe this is my favorite. This is either my second favorite scene in the movie. Is the moment with the tiger. He meets the chemist, and the chemist is
Beautifully shot, is it
touching
too?
the LSD, you know, and it's this moment where this is also an LSD thing. This is very much an acid thing where he has a conversation with Red, and Red doesn't say anything. He just like looks at him, and he's like, "Oh, you're looking for him? Well, they're up north." And then he looks at the tiger, and he's like, "Oh, you're right, man." And like that whole thing, I was like, I'm having flashbacks right now. This is like of just having a conversation with somebody, but even though they're not aware of it, you're totally projecting this like wacky acid experience. But it's weird because that conversation probably did happen. This is why it's like what's real and what's not real.
I love that. It could be all drugs. It could be all cosmic, you know, like one or the other, you know, or like anywhere between.
Mm-hmm. And he releases a tiger, and it's like, yeah, that's how that conversation went. You know what I mean? Like, even though Nick Cage was just standing there, just staring at him, covered in dried blood and dirt and grime, and it just like staring at him, having this conversation. That is also an amazing scene. I'm gonna also give this movie I'm gonna give this an 8. Bad trips out of 10.
I love it. I love it. Much appreciated too, because it's that point I'd need to. I've mostly said what I was thinking before, but like
8.5 actually.
It's the realization of all those little details that you can keep digging into this movie. I've said it about a few movies, but this one I think the most so. That plays out. I haven't said this yet. This feels like a video game. This movie once you get into it, and I love that aspect too. Like there's a narrative that's formed based on action in a great way too. There's some kind of earthing of character too, and awakening as well. Like you said, the tiger just reminded me. There's a bunch of symbology with the tiger. So he's wearing the tiger shirt for a while. I think there's tiger things on the walls. Mandy even does this amazing illustration when you're seeing all this stuff that she's been illustrating, all the metal kind of fantasy artwork type stuff. And there's one, it's him, and he's becoming like it's him with like that great like 80s composition of becoming the tiger. And it's like when he lets the tiger out, there's like a little bit of metaphor there that again, who knows what it meant. And that's the beautiful part about it. The director probably had a lot of ideas. We can also just love how free-flowing it is, that it's we can still establish a lot of our own narratives, or we don't even need to. That's the great part. Like I say, it ends on a note that you're like, whoa, that just got really cosmic. And also, like I say, there's animation that weaves its way all the way through. I never touched on that, but that's a really interesting point about it's kind of telling. It's extrapolating the stories that Mandy was kind of reading and almost creating and kind of living in past when she's gone in a great way, and he's kind of part of that too. So to that point that you wondered almost at the end, it's like, does she come back to life, or was she there all along? Who knows? But I love that. But I think all in all, what I'm absolutely jazzed by is the fact that this is visually just stunning. Like it's such a beautiful movie, as violent as it is. That's kind of great. There's moments where I laughed in a great way too. Like, and it's like, it was funny. And then it was like, you know, the like when she's laughing at him, I'm like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. Like, it's like, how pathetic is his like album? And like, you know, that he is so like, he just thinks he's the shit. He's the man. And like, it's the comparison between the cult leader and Red, because she's like, that's not how that's not how you be a good man. Like that's like Red has just like a comforting masculine energy to him. It's like he's not like I'm the best and I'm going to tell you why I'm the best and try and pathetically dominate people. It's like no, I can do it without doing that. I can be a good figure of authority without doing that. And she's like, no, you're pathetic. But yeah, there's true humor in there, like the goblin as well. That's unsettling as well, and it's just so much craft. also, but like at the end of it, you're just feeling like you said, Jeff, that was excellent. You went on a journey with him too, and I haven't felt a movie that made me feel, first of all, this much rage, and just you brew up so much energy with the movie in a great way, and then you just like hold on, straddle up for the ride, and is the most like, even the word satisfying, like revenge kind of experience you've ever seen in a movie too. All tinged by this amazing purple and red color palette and some of the most intense visuals. Like, it's beautiful. Like, I could even get into the color too. Like, there's that scene at the end where he remembers when he first met her and like became absolutely obsessed with her, and she's just their love is incredible, and it's just like that's his life, and it was. Things were dark, and then they're illuminated by the blues and the reds and the purples, and like that starts to tinge everything, and it's like, oh man, color is a vehicle for language in this movie. Like, I love that as well. I have to say, watch Color Out of Space after this, because similar vibes. Still, I don't know who's seen it, but yeah, similar vibes. Very, it's Lovecrafty actually, of all things, but color plays a massive role in it. Elijah Wood was also a producer on that too, and Nicolas Cage as well, so a lot of fun. But yeah, all in all, this movie, just like Chesh said before, it's art, and it's art that is for me. Like, it scratches itches in my brain in a way that's so beautiful. I love prog rock. I love weird art. I love a little bit of synesthesia where I see colors in things. It was just so satisfying. Like, I'm not even the biggest violence fan. I don't care for it too much, but it was just such a powerful and visceral revenge experience, and then I can also continue to keep drawing narratives from it, like, oh, I wonder what this meant, like, I love that. So keep unpacking it. So for me, that's a fucking solid 9 out of 10. Like, I haven't given anything that high yet, so I should stop giving 7. So
he convinced me. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 too. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
So
So what's your final score then?
Oh, sorry, 9 out of 10 forged battle axes. I was gonna say 9 out of 10 gallons of cheddar, because I just found the article where it's like they explained the horrific truth of how they filmed that scene, and those kids just had to get fucking puked on for 6 hours straight at that scene. Like weird mac and cheese, and just like I don't know how I feel about this. As someone who hates mac and cheese, like, oh, jeez.
You don't like mac and cheese?
I was probably burned by the gross microwave ones, and that smell triggers me like nothing else. I'm sure you can have really good mac and cheese, but I just haven't had it. So.
Fun fact: Mandy was a flop, technically.
Oh no!
So was Color Out of Space, and so was Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, they're not movies for everyone, and that's I appreciate the fact we went on that too, Chesh.
Yeah,
it's like this is you got to put it in an art lens. It's like
opening weekend. So the movie cost estimated. So this number is obviously estimated, $6 million, which is extremely cheap for a movie. Now that being said, opening weekend only pulled in 225,000.
Shit, that's hard.
And
that's
gross worldwide was only 1.5 million.
Dang, that absolutely is. I forgot. There's another little side thing we didn't touch on. Johann Johansen, the composer, did the composition for a few movies like Sicario and Arrival, and this one, I believe, was his last movie because he passed away.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so really amazing soundtrack too. So the type of thing. I often look for movie soundtracks that have this kind of quality to them to read books to, that aren't distracting, but they paint a tone. So a lot of Cliff Martinez's stuff from like The Nick and Drive and those movies, whatever. Between the Pines, I think is another one.
Anything else? Pines, yeah.
Is that the one? Did he do it for that? Or I'm thinking another Ryan Gosling one. Maybe Only God Forgives, I think it's called. I've been obsessed with a lot of what Ryan Gosling does, especially like the more indie stuff, and the music often that goes alongside it quite similar. So
Drive, I think, is a really good one, but yeah,
so good. Yeah.
Drive it.
Got pace. It's quiet. It's then just fucking explodes a bit like this actually. But probably this one more so. You get this like defined shift in the middle of this one too, and yeah, exactly. But yeah.
All right. So for those who are watching, if you catch the video of this afterwards, let us know in chat or in the comments what you would rate this movie as if you've seen it. Interested to hear y'all's thoughts.
If you haven't seen it, I'd love to hear what people think too. Hey, it's Commander Central Max. What's going on, man? It's going down. Yeah. So what's next on the agenda, Brandon?
Well, apparently we really like to talk about Mandy for a long time, except for Chesh. I think Chesh only talked for a total of 4 minutes this whole entire show. But
I thought that was really valid what you said though, Chesh. I like it.
I definitely talked more than 4 minutes. Thank you very much. But yeah. Like art is subjective. I don't like Jackson Pollock. Doesn't mean it's technically not art, but in my eyes, it's not something I'm into. That's
There you go.
the correct, valid criticism that should come down from anyone reviewing any fucking thing. Because put yourself outside of your fucking shoes, you morons. Not to you guys, obviously. You guys did the right thing, but I'm talking to the very particular few reviewers over the last couple of weeks who have been reviewing things.
And it's not for me. Yeah, so,
I'm being a bit shit.
Yeah.
Especially you, Gizmodo.
People just love to shit on things these days. It's like
Ghostbusters Afterlife, man. Like some of the reviews just been fucking shocking.
Yeah.
I actually liked it.
Shocking, huh?
I really liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. It was everything that I was hoping that it would be. Including stuff where I was like, if they do this, I think it's going to be done poorly. And it was like, oh, actually, no. They actually did this right. They actually...
surprised.
And I think Brando knows what I'm talking about, but I may have shed a tear. Like, and I very much enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, wow.
In saying that, Hayden has zero compulsion to see it. So that tells you all you need to know. That if you liked the very first Ghostbusters movie, you will most likely like Afterlife. I've watched a whole heap of stuff lately, including Spider-Man No Way Home, which I thought also did the nostalgia thing really well, despite the fact that the writing is a bit poor and the story is even poorer. So I've got some gripes that I mean, if we want to discuss it, I've got some gripes about No Way Home.
You guys have a podcast for that, though, right?
Yeah, do we, Brandon?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't work here. I stopped being alive months ago.
This is the Wendy's.
So somebody owes me files from months ago, so I don't know if we have a podcast.
Let me see.
amazing.
Sorry,
you call them the lost tapes, and they'll come out in 10 years' time as NFTs. Whoa, we're there.
We weren't going to talk about NFTs.
So sorry. I'm so sorry. It just dropped. Exactly. It just minted, actually.
It just minted on the blockchain.
So. Anyone want a round of the fun game, or are we all kind of absolutely mandied out, or anything like that?
I've
watched having a nap in the sun.
23 movies since the beginning of this year.
What? You're a fiend.
No, Brandon doesn't actually watch movies. I see the way you watch things, Brandon.
I've watched Idiocracy, SEAL Team, Encanto, Zone 414, which is the Guy Ritchie one. I rewatched Raya the Last Dragon, WALL-E, Treasure Planet, Kung Fu Panda, Home Alone 2, Home Alone 1, Fantasia.
How about you watch Home Alone 1 and 2 after Christmas? Weird.
Yeah, right. I watched a ton of anime and TV shows, which I'm not counting because those aren't movies. I watched Super Deep, which is the new Russian movie that came out about the Kona hole, the deepest hole in the earth.
Show you my Kona
Star
hole.
Trek remake, Geostorm, Greenland, Poseidon, not Poseidon Adventure, but the most recent remake. The Predator, the most recent remake. Source Code, Atlantis Lost Empire. Star Wars, I have an abridged 1 through 6.
Ooh, Source Code. What did you think of Source Code?
Source Code was okay. I don't like the way they ended it. I think they had more opportunity to take it further, but I do respect the fact that they let him die.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a bit shit.
I watched the Dwayne the Rock Johnson Hercules and Eternals.
Oh, don't even get me started with Eternals. That's a huge turd.
I mean, I didn't care for it. I didn't like it at all, but I didn't hate it. During that time, I also watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 40. Oh, just 41. I watched 41 TV shows - anime episodes.
Hey.
I want to read everyone a tweet. It's very graphic, and it will bring up certain reactions, I'm sure. Oh boy! But I do want to read this tweet because I think that Brandon will know where I'm going with this, and I think you'll all be able to get a good sense, a good feeling. Well, not a good feeling, but a good feeling about where I'm going with this. Not that kind of feeling, Brandon.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just got done watching Eternals, and boy howdy, have you ever gone camping and dug a hole to dump in, but the hole isn't deep enough, and the wind changes, and you get that smell of that big old meaty turd? Eternals is that turd. Stinky and retch-inducing. Nothing good about it. Also, not only did they name Superman in it, they also called the guy that they called Superman as a bad writing joke, Clark. Oh yeah, there's comedy in this. It's just all bad. They literally call out the fact that one of the Eternals characters is basically based on Superman. They call him, like, one of the Eternals has a kid, and the kid calls him Superman. And he's like, I'm not like Superman, I don't wear a cape. And then is like, come on inside, Clark. And it's just like, what are you doing? Who wrote this shit? This is terrible.
My favorite description of the movie so far, which was to a friend later today, was the visual effects represent a nice, beautiful hill of flowers. The screen right and the rest of the movie represents a bear taking a shit on that hill of flowers.
Yep.
No matter how hard you try, the flowers are going to taste and smell like bear shit.
Yes. Yeah. Look at this gorgeous thing of nature. Oh no, that bear's not really. Oh, it's a runny. Oh, gross.
It's so bad that you can actually taste it in the air.
Dang. All right, so I'm not watching this. No.
You should still watch it as a movie, never to watch again.
I don't know. Like,
it's got a lot of plot holes in it and a lot of unexplained effects without any residual starts.
The other thing, like, fuck me.
How
just
hard?
Like they do you know how, like, every other Marvel movie hasn't had to explain where somebody was during some incident, right? They've never had to explain it because it doesn't fucking matter,
Where were you
right?
during the Thanos snap?
Because you just write it away and it doesn't matter. And in this, they're like, but where were you when Thanos was here? And they're like, oh, we can't intervene in, like, you know, human affairs. Are you fucking with me? You gave the humans a knife that changed humanity. You've been fucking with humans for 10,000 years. You're all over their fucking mythology, you stupid morons.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
I'm so angry.
I'm so lost.
The Eternals are basically based on.
I don't want to know, actually.
So you've got, like, Athena, but without the A, so it's just Thena, and yeah, they're, like, all tied throughout human history, basically. And a lot of the myths are created around and created by the Eternals to kind of explain themselves away.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't watch it.
Okay.
I'm not going
to.
But
what I'm saying is that if you decide to watch it, be aware that it's just
be like, open-minded that every other movie may be better.
Every other movie so far in the Marvel Universe is better. Every other movie.
And even that,
including
Tobey
Thor: The
Maguire.
Dark World
Don't use it as a testament
And
of quality.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3.
Noted. Absolutely
Which is
noted.
now technically canon again, so what's up?
Yeah, Venom.
Mm.
Anyways,
Righty.
we're at an hour and 15 about.
Yeah, I am hungry as hell.
I didn't eat.
I am tired and sleepy, so I think this is.
I'm sweaty. Like it's
Yeah.
hot here now. It got
I
really
put a
hot.
fan on me.
now.
That's why I've been rubbing my eyes.
Mhm.
Because the fan actually affects my eyes.
I'm gonna put this Christmas hat on just to get hotter.
Oh, there you go. That's a
See,
very cool. I like that Christmas hat.
Oh, I thought that was just some sort of like weird effect, but it's actually a Christmas hat you have.
No, like not doing VTuber.
Can you
stuff,
wear it
this
on
is
your
legit.
chin instead?
Yeah, because I don't get exactly. I don't get it like that. Whereas if you went like this,
You got to do the buckle.
What
Turn it
do you mean?
around. Turn it around.
Oh yeah, whoops, my bad.
I don't know. It's a silly Christmas hat. I think you're overthinking it.
It is certainly a silly Christmas hat. Exactly. So yes, I've got another one here. It's got ears on it. Like why? Yeah, it's a great one. It's that one too. But yeah, that's us, I guess.
This is the only Christmas thing I have in my house.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Everyone's getting fingers.
Merry
is that what you're saying?
Christmas.
Have a McAllister Christmas that already happened.
McAllister Christmas. All right, yeah, I'm out. I'm ready
Get out of
to.
here,
Unless I'm very
All right,
tired.
we're gonna sign off. Chesh, why don't you kick us off?
Hi, I am Chesh from Cheshire Plays Games. You can find me such places as Commander Crunch Podcast at Commander Crunch Podcast
Just find it.
FM. You know what? Just look us up on
Fireside.fm.
Twitter.
Yeah, just look it up. Just look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Oh, and of course, tomorrow morning at twitch.tv/Cheshire Plays Games or twitch.tv/The Nerd Ranch, maybe. I don't know which one Caitlin's going to be streaming from. For some
Interesting.
Commander hot action.
Commander signals in your area.
All right. My name is Brandon, aka the producer, host at MTGLexicon. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be live tomorrow with some Commander, hopefully better looking, sexier models, and more nipple covers than the other stream that was just mentioned. But that being said, you should definitely go check out their stream. Great stuff. Great people, especially Chesh. I don't know about the Sam guy. He disappeared for a while, and all he says is something. I jerked off
Flick of the
and
bean.
broke my wrist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm Jeff. I got a cool shirt I want to show you.
Always.
Look at this thing.
Is it Cheddar
Okay.
Goblin? Oh.
So
Oh, praise the sun.
it's like sun on the front. And on the back, it's
Ooh,
it's
the
a
moon.
moon. Yeah.
The maze too. Oh man, I love your shirts.
Yeah.
The moon, so
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's amazing. It's a
Oh,
very
dude.
cool shirt. Anyway, yeah. I'm signing off, and I'll pass it off to Sam.
Yeah. Everyone introduced me. It was great. Yeah, I'm Sam from Commander Crunch. Check out our podcast when we're back next week, and all the old episodes too. But then tomorrow we're gonna play some Commander, and I'm gonna beat up on Chesh, and it's gonna be great for some petty vendetta that I even forgot why. I think he yelled at me for
Good ship.
I think I ghost quartered you, and you didn't have any fucking basic lands, like an idiot, like in your deck, and then you blamed it on me. I'm like,
Of course I blame it on you. How
Yeah.
dare you go squatter me?
So I'm gonna. Yeah, I know, right? But I'm gonna vendetta that. So anyway,
All right.
all right. But catch you in 2 weeks where someone chooses another movie to talk about. Who knows what's gonna be? I think it's Cheshire.
Squiggles!
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.